Welcome to Eltham, sitting on the border of Kent in South East London. Birthplace to stars such as Jude Law, Kate Bush, even Lee from Blue grew up right here. But I'm here today to meet Estie.B, the young British artist who has shot to fame in the last 5 years. I want to find out how Estie.B got into art, the part she's played in the great art revival, and to find out where it goes next. Estie.B, welcome to the art part. Thank you for having me. Now we can see from your blue plaque outside that you're considered to be a celebrity artist. Now that's something that 5 or 10 years ago artists didn't want to really be associated with. People might argue that Tracey Emin flirted with the idea, but you seem to be consciously declaring yourself both an artist making work about being a celebrity, and you're a celebrity because of the art you make. Was this always your intention? Yes, it was. I mean, I grew up in a time where celebrity talent shows and reality shows were prime time Saturday night TV. And as an aspiring artist at school and then uni, I couldn't understand why there weren't any famous artists on these shows. You had sports stars, actors, pop stars, even politicians, but there weren't any artists. I've always tried to make it very clear in my work that I want to be involved in the celebrity world, not just to learn to dance or survive in the Australian outback, but because I think we need artists to be involved in popular culture for the general public to stay engaged with it and know what we do. The great thing about these reality shows is that people of all ages and all classes watch them. Not everyone has access to galleries or have parents who want to take them to see contemporary art. So if we can make ourselves known to them while they sit in their living room eating their Chinese takeaway on a Saturday night, then we're planting the seed for them to look into us as artists and what we do. So I bet you were well pleased to see Tracey Emin come third in Strictly Come Dancing last year, and Anthony Gormley winning I'm a Celeb this year. Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, these artists were already quite well known, but I think doing these shows has just made them that bit more accessible to people. Well, you've already mentioned that you were an aspiring artist at school and uni. You grew up in a time when art wasn't that highly regarded within popular culture, and funding for the arts was extremely low. Can you tell me a bit about what that was like? It was very hard when I was growing up to have an interest in art or want to pursue a career in art. A massive debt still hung over the country because of the recession, and massive cuts were being made, and the arts took a hard blow. People were campaigning for football pitches to stay open and not be built on, and sport was still really celebrated and preserved with things like the 2012 Olympics. People didn't really seem to recognise that we've never had a space for the public to make art. We didn't have anything to campaign for because the spaces weren't there in the first place. Also at school, outside of lessons we were encouraged to join a sports team, be in the school play, but there weren't really any clubs for people who liked art. Well, if I can interrupt you there, you say that art wasn't so encouraged in school, but surely your teachers must have encouraged you in some way because you went on to study art at university. That was a very hard and easy decision. I actually went to a grammar school where we were told to pursue serious careers with lots of money and guaranteed jobs. And although my art teachers encouraged me to take up art, they couldn't really guarantee me a job at the end of it. To be honest, I knew that if I was going to dedicate 3 years of my life and a lot of money to something, I wanted it to be something fun that I'd enjoy. And I suppose I felt that art was my thing. By my thing, do you mean something you were the best at? Did you already know by that point that you were particularly good at art? Oh no, I don't think I was the best at school by any means. There was a lot of drawing photographs and making artist copies in my art lessons, and my friends were a lot better at that than I was. But when it came to thinking up ideas for pieces, I think I was a bit more of a risk taker. Even though the finished piece didn't always turn out exactly how I'd planned, I'd learnt something, I'd tried something new, and it was an experiment. With my drawings, they didn't always resemble the photograph exactly. But I had a style and my friends praised me for that, and I think it was them that made me recognise that art was my thing. I suppose that's the thing that does differentiate art and sport. You don't have to be the best to be a successful artist, it's more about doing it your way. Yeah, exactly. There's no manual on how to do it, but there's also no rule book. You can even copy a bit if you like. Well, that's one of your skills, isn't it? I actually had Tracy on the phone telling me she heard I was copying her interview style, but I told her to take it as a compliment. It's a feature in my work.
Oh yeah, well we all have art. You're wrong. We haven't all got art. That's where you're wrong.
So you graduated from Cardiff School of Art in 2014. What happened then? Yeah, I returned home after my degree and I was pretty proud of myself. I'd got a first in fine art and I was still buzzing off my degree show. And so I moved back to the southeast and it was hard. I mean, I didn't really know anyone in the artist community. I didn't have a job for a while, so didn't have any money. I was feeling pretty sorry for myself, to be honest. But things started to change quite significantly for art in 2015, didn't it? Can you tell me a bit about that? It must have started with Sarah Lucas representing England in the Venice Biennale. Her work, of course, references everyday life in Britain in a very suggestive way. And I think her being one of the young British artists made famous in the 1990s reminded us of that time when young British artists were being viewed and spoken about on an international level. They were being celebrated for making work that commented on our everyday lives in Britain. I decided to try and make people more aware of what Sarah was doing and the fact that she was representing England in the Biennale by really kind of shoving it in people's faces. I hung up banners on bridges and on roundabouts, just telling people, support Sarah, get behind her. She's representing our country in, what's like the World Cup of the art world. And things really took off. Everyone seemed to follow suit. Flags were being hung out on houses, on cars. People were really looking into Sarah's work and promoting it and enjoying it. It was great because the Biennale is a big deal. It is like the World Cup of the art world. All of these countries coming together, sending the best artists they have, all wanting to compete for that Golden Lion Award. And Sarah says she was overwhelmed with the support she got from people. And that enthusiasm developed and continued after the Biennale, didn't it? The support for art just grew and grew. Pubs started showing Sky Arts as opposed to Sky Sports. I remember watching the Turner Prize with friends in a pub. It was crazy, really. And in schools, there were big changes too. Yeah, I think art teachers decided to take a leaf out of the sports department book and they felt a new passion with everything that was going on. So they arranged art competitions with other schools and made painting and sculpture clubs because they realised that competition isn't necessarily a bad thing. It encourages people to try, it gives them a deadline to create work for, and it rewards them when they've achieved. Also, it isn't measured like sports, so it's not people being given exactly the same materials, the same theme, the same style, and being forced to go up against each other. People are free to express themselves how they want. And the great thing about art is that even if you aren't the winner, you still have produced a piece of work, you've still got something to take home or exhibit elsewhere, So, where does the art revival go next? I'm actually keen to promote the benefits of art to our health. People are so preoccupied with our physical health and keeping our bodies as well maintained as they can be, which is important, but in a time where anxiety and depression is rife, I think people need to think about their mental state just as much as their physical state. I'd like to see life drawing classes for city businessmen as opposed to going to the gym 5 days a week. I'd like the elderly to get involved in art because our minds keep going strong a long time after our body weakens. I think what's important is for all parts of the art world to continue supporting each other and communicating. Because while financial support for the arts might remain low, art has got a place in all of our lives. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. Thank you very much for speaking to me, Estie.B. Thank you.